Good morning, EMSers. EMS Week 2020 has begun. First day is EMS education. So I got all dressed up and put on the tie and all that. The ties, which has become a thing for me, I didn't plan on that, actually come from education. When I first started teaching at Northwest Shoals, I wanted to look professional, and we all did. It was kind of the norm back then. The only thing that kind of set me apart from other people is I tended to wear sort of goofy or funny ties. And over the years, I've just kind of stuck with that. And I now have a closet with a bunch of fun ties, as I like to call them, especially at Christmas. I have a whole bunch. In fact, I found two when I was cleaning out the closets during the quarantine. There's the word I'm looking for. I found two that I missed. So I'm gonna have to go back and wear those at some point, and I'll make sure to wear all of them. I have like nearly 40 of Christmas ties. But if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you've seen a bunch of my ties. I try to come up with something funny to say about them. But anyways, education. So we kind of dressed up, looked a little bit different than the average medic, although over the years that's changed, and we've kind of migrated towards a more relaxed dress code and actually more towards a uniform. So we've kind of come back to where we began. So to get into education, or what is education? I guess I've always felt a calling for education. I became a CPR instructor back in 91, something like that. It was a while ago. I think it was 91. And I started teaching from there. So that's kind of where I got my experience and got my start with it. When I started at Shoals, I started as adjunct and taught as adjunct for many years. And I was given additional responsibilities with the training center and some of the other things, and eventually moved into a full-time position. To be an educator in EMS, if you want to start in it, that's probably a good way, is to go see your community college and say, hey, I'd like to help out. What do I need to do? And start making yourself available. Now, a lot of people want to volunteer to come in and teach and cover classes and help with labs, and that's great. I appreciate that you're willing to do that. Personally, I don't like to call on those that are volunteering because we're all a little pressed for time nowadays, and I don't want to take anybody's time away from anything else. Although EMS has a long history of volunteerism, so you're just continuing that trend. So that's kind of a good way to get started. Now, to be a full-time educator, you have to have at least an associate's degree, and the Northwest Shoals department, I think, is a little bit ahead of the game. We have one that has his doctorate in health sciences and two more that are working on their doctorates. So we have some people with some pretty advanced degrees that are trying to figure out how to teach this stuff the best that they can. And that's a lot of work that they had to go through to learn how to be even better teachers. I think we're all good teachers to begin with, but even better teachers. So that's, you don't need a doctorate, so don't start with that. To be a full-time educator, though, you do have to have an associate's degree. And then on top of that, you have to complete some sort of EMS education program. And the state of Alabama used to have their own, which I went through a long time ago. Just went through it because I knew someday I wanted to teach. Now we have the National Association of EMS Educators instructor courses, and there's a level 1 and a level 2, and they're coming out with a couple other new programs this year, next year. Anyways, they have some stuff in the work. But you have to go through the level 1 educator. And that's a really good course. You learn an incredible amount about how people learn and how to teach. And they make you do it. So get ready to work through it all. You're not going to be just sitting there listening, which is actually a really bad way to learn. All those times just sitting in the classroom when the instructor was reading the PowerPoint or just lecturing to you, actually the worst way to learn. One of the worst way to learn. So on top of that, though, if you really want to make yourself kind of marketable as an educator, you need to have at least 3 years of experience. You have to have that associate's degree. And then you want to look at all what we tend to call the alphabet courses, or all the extra courses. So these are things like CPR instructor, ACLS instructor, PALS instructor, the National Association of EMT instructor course, which allows you to teach not all theirs, but allow you to teach their classes after you've been through their classes. ITLS, I'm trying to think of all the ones that I have, and there's a whole bunch more. Now, in addition to the continuing education requirements that an EMT or a paramedic has to have, every year. We have to maintain that because we had to be a paramedic. We do have some EMTs that can come in and help, but generally you want to be a paramedic. We had to maintain those hours, but we also have to maintain professional development education hours. And sometimes they overlap, but a lot of times they're separate. So we have about another 20, I think, hours that we have to complete every year. And the college offers us a lot of professional development opportunities, so it's not real hard to find our classes, but it's just another thing that we have to do. And actually some of those programs and classes that I've taken have been really, really good and good information about how to teach better. Now, something we've done at Northwest Shoals in our EMS department is we have decided to move into some online education, and we started doing this a couple of years ago. So our program and myself have gone through the Quality Matters certification process, and that really is a way to design your courses best to be online. Now, by doing so, I also found out there's lots of ways that we could have made our classes, and we did make our classes, better in the classroom. So going through the online certification process has made our classes even better. So that's a little bit about what it took to become an EMS educator. A little bit later today, I'll talk about what it takes to become an EMT and to become a paramedic, just the education with that and to maintain those. But if you want to get into EMS education, first get your EMT and paramedic license, preferably your paramedic. Start volunteering, helping, maybe not volunteering, but at least start with a low-level position at the college. This way you can get some experience, and it's usually things like helping in the lab. Sometimes some of the skills and things that we do take more than one person to help watch and teach. So that's a good way to get started. And then from there, you want to look at getting your EMS educators, National Association EMS Educators Level 1 certification, and you want to look at getting your associate's degree. So those are the two big things that we have to start teaching. So hope that explains a little bit about what we do in education, or what we had to do to be in EMS education. Now right now in the quarantine, everybody has been doing Zoom calls in their shorts. So just so you know how important it was for me to do this, not only do I have the shirt and tie, but I even put on pants. So hope you guys are having a great day. Stay safe and EMS strong.